So that's something that I'm always keeping in mind when I'm targeting these fish on any type of cover, but especially a little bit cleaner water, fish on the bottom. It can be really, really special. Riz, is it, yeah, go for it.
They're trying to be sneaky and get out there, Cole. They want to get in them trees and twiddle around on the bottom all day.
These are more fish that are on the bottom down there, as you can see, just kind of snaking around.
These guys, hopefully they're swimming around with their eyes looking up. With their lateral lines looking up, that is.
Boom, right there. You can see that fish perk up. He sees it that far above his head.
There they go. Eat it. Oh, no. Look at them all coming up. Do it. Do it. Do it. They're fighting over it. Oh, look at those guys right there. That's a giant one. They got it. You guys see all those fish fighting over it on scope? Woo, buddy. Do you even got to say anything else?
You got a 9 and a 10.
10! 9 and a 10!
Get excited a little bit when we catch big ones, but I mean, how ridiculous is that? Schooling fish, and you saw that one fish kicking up, and I think that it was kind of hard to see, but I kept seeing it repeatedly, and I see it all the time. When one starts going, you can tell that the other fish in the area can feel that one go, and they can immediately stop, and they'll pause, and they saw him looking up, and they started to immediately go after it as well. We got that schooling effect going, and boom, they're trying to rip it out of each other's mouths. That is the ideal situation right there. So, getting started with big bait fishing, the biggest thing is overcoming the fear of throwing these giant baits. Again, don't go out if you've never thrown anything bigger than a spinner bait and try to buy a 10-ounce bait and throw it on whatever you have. Even if you buy the perfect rod and reel, you're not going to be ready for it. But I truly feel like swim bait fishing is 75% mental, I'll say. And as refined as your presentation, your tackle, your knowing when to throw it is, it's so important, but still the mental aspect of it is, I think, at least 65 to 75% of it. And that is, you know, staying confident with it and knowing what baits work, what situations you can catch fish on them, knowing when to put it down. That's a huge part that we're going to talk about when we get into some of the tournament bass fishing questions. And I got 3 rules to kind of break through that mental barrier to go out and purchase your first glide bait, your first line through your first Magnum spoon, and have some success. First off is fundamentals. Again, don't go out and start with this. And we're going to show you some baits in just a second to where you can draw parallels for how you are currently fishing them in the exact parallels, the exact genres of big baits that fish almost identical to them. They're just in a little bit bigger package. So how many guys in here are comfortable or like throwing swim jigs? What about jerk baits? Topwater walking bait? Crankbait? So we've all done that, right? So those are all things that we are comfortable with. And you start talking about baits like that, everyone can throw a 3 to 6 inch bait right there, no problem. Hit the next slide, Riz. I'm going to show you guys. These are baits that are in the swim bait genre that fish exactly the same as those baits in just a little bit bigger package. They work in the same areas. They work in the same weather conditions a lot of times. And they work in the same areas of the water column the same times a year. That's going to let you guys just get over that mental barrier and start throwing these baits without spending your life savings on them. You know, a swim jig, we look at that, it's quite simply like, you see people throwing a mag draft or something, and it seems like it's a big bait. You seem like a big bait expert if you throw a mag draft or a 6-inch whale from 6 cents. Just had someone tell me how good the 4.5-inch version is. I mean, you're throwing a swim jig with a swim bait trailer. That thing's 4.5 inches long anyways, right? So what's the difference between that and going to a 5 or a 6-inch swim bait? They work in the same exact types of areas around grass, skipping up under docks, fishing it around any type of shallow cover. Throw a big beast, a 6/0 beast hook on that thing. It's 1 or 2 hook sizes bigger than the swim jig. Works in the same areas, guys. Jerk baits. We all throw jerk baits. It's great. It works around, again, like we talked about this morning. Brush pile fishing over the top. Works on the end docks. Works on bluff ends, wind-blown banks. A glide bait, right here. 9-inch draw glide bait. These baits work in the exact same spots, the exact same presentations, the exact same pauses, the exact same retrieve speeds, a lot of times, as a jerk bait. They just weigh a little bit more, they're a little bit bigger. We have to have a little bit more refined tackle, but we're gonna kind of just break through to you guys, I feel like, by knowing what baits to throw and what parallels those baits.